Hello everyone and welcome to the very first video of just you, me, and Brahm. I'm Rita, this is Brahm. So the things we're going to be discussing in this YouTube channel are basically just early teen self-care. I've wanted to start this channel for quite a while actually, because if there's any age group that I would never ever want to return to, it's probably the ages of like 11 to 16. Those ages were so hard for me and they were such a struggle for so many reasons, and I know that I am definitely not alone in that. I know that a lot of people really struggle during those times because, you know, we're going through so many changes and we're for the first time kind of discovering our independence during that age group, and we're kind of just trying to get a feel of where we're going in life, who we are, and it's a very tumultuous time. So I just really wanted to start this channel to answer questions, to give self-care tips, just to kind of help you navigate these years. So, you know, we're going to be discussing everything from skincare, makeup, I'll probably do a video on meditation. We'll probably discuss sexuality, age appropriate of course. You know, just kind of things that you can do to help yourself feel better. You know, I know that during this time, you're probably comparing yourself to everyone else around you who is also your age, and that's completely normal. We all do it. We all compare ourselves to everyone else around us because, you know, really insecurity is such a huge thing during that time. I remember feeling so insecure about so many things about myself, and you know, I just want you to know that your feelings are 100% valid. It is completely normal. You know, especially because our bodies change so much during that time, and I think it's just kind of hard to really understand your own body and understand who you are. So, welcome. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave it in the comments, or if you have a question that you don't want to be public, feel free to email me. I will put my email in the comments. Alright, so for our first video, I think I would like to dive right into the topic of insecurity. So insecurities are something that we will feel for the rest of our lives, I think. You know, I don't think there's anyone who truly doesn't feel insecure about anything. It's really just that our insecurities change as we get older. So I remember when I was between the ages of 11 and 16, probably the thing I was most insecure about was socializing with people. I was terrible at it. I had no idea how to interact on a normal level with someone else my age. And that was something that I really struggled with. I was such an awkward teenager. It was truly awful. So, you know, that's just my perspective. I know that I also struggled with body image. I know a lot of you are probably struggling with body image, and that's completely normal. So I'm not here to tell you to not be insecure, because if we're being honest, that's never going to happen. You're never going to not be insecure about something. So what I want to discuss is how to deal with those insecurities. So when you're dealing with insecurities, I really believe that the first step to dealing with them is to acknowledge that your feelings are valid. The truth about feelings is that you're going to feel however you're going to feel, and telling yourself not to feel a certain way isn't really going to help you at all. Really at that point, you're just kind of bottling things up, and it's eventually going to explode on you and become a worse problem than it originally was. So the first thing I want you to do when you realize that you're insecure about something is to say, that's okay. It's fine. It's okay to be insecure. It's okay to feel like something about yourself is subpar. And so the next step that I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself if it's something that you can change, and then second, if it's something that you should change. So I used to be so insecure about my eyebrows. Like when I was that age, these drove me crazy. I was so insecure about them. I had no idea what to do with them, and it just, like, you know, when they're on your face, like everyone sees them. You can't hide your eyebrows. And so for me, that was just about learning how to shape them and how to change them in a way that made me feel good about them, because that's something that I am capable of changing. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with changing your eyebrows. Let's look at something else. Let's say I don't my hands. I am also very insecure about my hands. I have always been insecure about my hands. I received my dad's hands. Thanks, Dad. And that's not something that I can change. I cannot do anything about these. These are going to be however they're going to be. So when it's something that you cannot change, it's really just about learning to see the good things about them. You know, even though I do sometimes still feel insecure about my hands, I have just learned to say, well, these are the things that I do like about them, and to see the things that I do like, and to try and just kind of move on from that insecurity. Another way that you can deal with insecurities is, honestly, we're all way too busy dealing with our own stuff to really think about, you know, everyone else's stuff. So like, I am super insecure about my hands, but let me tell you, most people are not going to notice my hands. They're not going to look at my hands and say, oh my God, look at those are awful. You know, that's just like, I know we all imagine that that's going to happen, but it's not. I promise you, no one else notices. You know, especially as you get older. So I know that at the age that you're at, like, kind of have nothing else to do other than criticize each other sometimes. And I know that kids can be really, really mean, and that they will pick out any insecurity that they know that you have and exploit it. But I just want to promise you that that will not always be the case, because as people get older, they get busier, and like, honestly, who has time to notice someone else's eyebrows or someone else's hands, you know? So I just want you to know that that's going to change. I promise you, it's going to get better. It's going to change. Dealing with your peers is going to get so much easier. I promise you. And something else that I do want to mention is that when someone else makes fun of you for something or criticizes you for something, it's probably because they're feeling insecure themselves and they are taking out that insecurity on you. It's a really big tendency in kids that age who kind of learn bullying tendencies, is they kind of learn that they start to feel less insecure about themselves if they take it out on other people. So just know that if someone else is bullying you, it has nothing to do with you. It's them. It has to do with them and how they are not able to deal with their own insecurities and their own emotions and their own anger. And, you know, when I was that age, I really wish I had known that. I wish that I had known that it wasn't me. It was, you know, it was really them just not knowing how to deal with their own feelings. And, you know, that's a huge goal I have with this channel, is to help you deal with your own feelings, because emotions are so confusing. Like, I'm 28 and I still think my emotions are so confusing sometimes. You know, like, sometimes I will be frustrated about something and logically I'm like, why am I, like, I shouldn't be annoyed by this. This shouldn't frustrate me. But I still feel that way. I still feel frustrated. And a lot of times I'm frustrated because I'm scared. Like, that's my first reaction to fear, is anger and frustration and annoyance. And so if we're getting down to biology here, so everyone has one of 3 reactions to fear. You either run, so flight, you freeze, or you fight / get angry. So when people are bullying, a lot of times they're actually scared because of those insecurities, and they don't know how to deal with that. And since their first reaction is to fight, they get angry. And, you know, in some ways I understand where that's coming from, but just know that, like, it's not okay to take it out on other people, and you have to be self-aware enough to understand that this is something that you have to deal with in yourself. So if there's something that you have been feeling really insecure about, or that you're currently just, you know, you're just really fighting these feelings of, you know, I don't think it's too far to even call it self-hatred. I know that I still experience a lot of self-hatred feelings, and those feelings are incredibly hard to overcome. You know, and it does get easier. You know, unfortunately, sometimes it's just time. Sometimes you just need the time to emotionally grow and to learn yourself and to learn your own emotions. And, you know, I feel like a lot of times our society doesn't really promote like understanding your own emotions. So that's, you know, it's definitely a huge goal that I have with this. And, you know, a lot of times when you're feeling insecure about something, it's something that you can actually do something about. Like, it's the age where everyone gets acne. So let's say you have really bad acne. Well, I am definitely going to do at least one, if not multiple skincare videos. So like that will just help you kind of combat it. But another factor with that is obviously, you know, hormones and yada, yada, yada. But that's a different video. We'll discuss that later. So if there's something that you're feeling insecure about right now, what I want you to do is I want you to isolate that insecurity and say, why? Why do I feel insecure about this? And then once you've isolated why, ask yourself, is it something I can change? So like my eyebrows, for instance, something I can 100% change. I have complete control over what happens to these. And then something you can change, I want you to ask yourself, is it something that you should change? Is this something that you should actually change about yourself? Or is it something that you should really just kind of learn to love about yourself? And if it's something that you can't change, then what I want you to do is I want you to write down 3 things that you like about whatever you're insecure about. That really helps. It really helps you focus on the positive rather than the negative. And I feel like that really, really helps you get over insecurities. And, you know, you can even write these down. So something that I used to do when I was in the early teen age group is I would get sticky Post-its and I would write down things that I loved about myself or things that I liked about, you know, something I was feeling really insecure about. And I would just stick it to my mirror. So that I would see it every single day. And, you know, when you see something every single day like that, it really starts to kind of like get into your head. And, you know, that's a good thing that we want to get into your head. We want to get that self-love into your head. And, you know, the thing about self-love is it can be really hard sometimes, especially when your body has been a certain way for over a decade and now suddenly it's another way. It's different. It's changing. And, you know, some of those changes you might absolutely be over the moon about. And some of the changes you might be like, yeah, I wish I could go back. But, you know, we can't go back. We all progress forward. And it's just all about learning how to deal with those changes. So, you know, I hear it go around a lot. The quote about how, like, you can't love anyone else if you don't love yourself. And let me tell you right now, I 100% think that is an awful thing. I personally have loved people in my life when I had absolutely zero love for myself. Really, I think it's more about finding people who will love you when you can't love yourself, or when you are just so self-hating that, you know, maybe you even just feel like you don't deserve to be alive. And let me tell you, you do. You 100% deserve to be here on this planet. How you're feeling right now, it will change. You know, whether it's through self-love techniques, whether it's through self-care, whether it's through medicine, or just, you know, changes that happen as you grow up, it will change. And I want you to know, like, if you are feeling so awful that you feel like you don't deserve to be here, please talk to someone. You can feel free to email me. Like I said, I will put my email in the comments. Talk to a parent, a teacher, a friend, someone who you trust. Just get those feelings out there, because I can tell you from experience that keeping those feelings bottled inside, it just spirals. It spirals downward into this dark hole that feels like it's going to swallow you up. And I know that's a really deep and kind of dark topic for our first video, but it's something that millions of people struggle with every single day. And I feel like mental health and self-care in terms of mental health just doesn't get talked about enough, especially in the early teen age group, because I've found a lot of adults tend to say, oh, well, it's just a phase. You know, they'll get over it, you know, and they kind of treat your emotions as though they're not real. And they are real and they're valid. And I never, ever, ever want you to think that your emotions aren't real. Because even though they're going to change in the future, it doesn't mean that they're not real in this moment. You know, I have a lot of like self-hating emotions, and I know that they will change because they have gotten better over the years, but that doesn't mean that I'm not feeling that way right now. So I just want you to realize that your feelings are valid, and I never want you to think that they're not. And you know, I know I said this earlier, but I just want to reiterate it. It is so important that you acknowledge those feelings and that you try to change them and that you try to work on them. And the best way to do that is to talk to someone. I know it's really, really scary. There's this huge, huge stigma of mental health in our society, but you're not alone. Millions and millions of people are like suffering the same thing that you're suffering right now. You are not alone, I promise. So please find someone that you trust and talk to them, get it out. And it's not even really about their response. It's not about getting advice. It's just about talking. And the thing with talking on a, like even just on a biological level, is that speech is processed in a different part of your brain than thought. So when you talk, you're actually processing those thoughts in a completely different part of your brain, which can really help you work things out. It can help you see them in a new light. Or sometimes I'll say something out loud, like this feeling that I had deep inside of me, and I'll say it out loud. And then once I say it, I'm like, wait, why was that such a big deal? You know, it's like, it just solves it right away. Like just saying it will solve it for me. So, you know, I think that's all I really have to say on the topic of insecurity for now. I hope something I said helped you. I hope something I said struck a chord with you. But if it didn't, then I hope something I say in the future helped you. And I'm always open to constructive criticism. This is my first ever, like, honestly, filming myself. I've never filmed myself before. So any advice you can give me that will help me do better in the future is more than welcome. All right, guys, so I think we're going to wrap up for today. Again, I'm Rita. This is Brahm. And thank you for joining us today on Just You, Me, and Brahm.